Imagine waking up tomorrow, looking in the mirror, and for the first time in a long time not zooming in on your pores, not stressing over blackheads on your nose, not trying to hide acne with filters or makeup. What if I told you that one of the most powerful remedies for blackheads and acne is something simple, affordable, and often completely misunderstood? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might completely change how you treat your skin forever. Let's be honest for a second. Blackheads and acne are not just a teen problem. They hit adults, they mess with confidence, and they can make even the best skincare routine feel useless. You wash your face, you exfoliate, you try expensive products, and still those tiny dark dots keep coming back. That's because most people are treating the surface of their skin, while the real issue starts much deeper. Blackheads and acne form when pores get clogged with oil, dead skin cells, and bacteria. The mistake most people make is trying to scrub them away aggressively or dry their skin out completely. That actually triggers your skin to produce more oil, making the problem worse. So the goal isn't to fight your skin. The goal is to reset it. Now let me introduce what many dermatologists quietly agree on but skincare companies don't want you to focus on. One of the most powerful acne and blackhead remedies in the world is consistency with gentle cleansing, oil balance, and one natural ingredient that works with your skin instead of against it: salicylic acid from natural sources, paired with proper hydration. Salicylic acid is oil-soluble, which means it can actually travel deep into your pores and dissolve the buildup that causes blackheads. This isn't about harsh chemical peels or burning your skin. When used correctly and gently, it clears pores, reduces inflammation, and prevents new acne from forming. The key is not overdoing it. Most people damage their skin barrier and then wonder why acne keeps returning. Here's where hydration becomes the game changer. Dehydrated skin overproduces oil. That oil mixes with dead skin and creates blackheads. When you properly hydrate your skin, your oil glands calm down. That's when pores appear smaller and acne becomes less aggressive. Drinking enough water is important, but topical hydration is just as critical. A lightweight, non-comedogenic moisturizer can literally change how your skin behaves. Another secret that people overlook is how often they touch their face. Every time you touch your phone, a door handle, or your keyboard, bacteria transfers to your skin. Touching your face pushes that bacteria straight into your pores. If you do nothing else after this video, become aware of how often your hands go to your face. That one habit alone can reduce breakouts dramatically. Diet also plays a bigger role than most people want to admit. High sugar intake and highly processed foods spike inflammation in the body. Acne is inflammation showing up on your skin. When you reduce sugar, increase whole foods, and include healthy fats, your skin often responds within weeks, not months. This isn't about perfection. It's about giving your body fewer reasons to inflame your pores. Let's talk about exfoliation for a moment. Physical scrubs with rough particles can cause micro tears in your skin. That leads to irritation and more breakouts. Gentle chemical exfoliation a few times a week helps remove dead skin cells without damaging the skin barrier. This allows pores to stay clear instead of trapping debris. And here's something that might surprise you. Stress is one of the biggest acne triggers in the world. When stress hormones rise, oil production increases. That's why breakouts often show up during exams, work pressure, or emotional stress. Taking care of your mental health is not just good for your mind, it shows on your skin. Now I want to be very clear about something. There is no overnight miracle that permanently removes blackheads and acne in one day. Anyone who promises that is selling you a dream. The real best remedy in the world is understanding your skin, being patient, and using the right tools consistently. When you stop attacking your skin and start supporting it, it responds. If you stay consistent with gentle cleansing, pore-clearing ingredients like salicylic acid, proper hydration, clean habits, and a balanced lifestyle, your skin can and will improve. Not perfectly, but significantly. Confidence doesn't come from flawless skin. It comes from knowing you're taking care of yourself the right way. If this video helped you see acne and blackheads differently, make sure you like it, share it with someone who's struggling silently, and subscribe for more honest health and skin advice. Remember, your skin is not broken. It's communicating with you. You just have to listen. Blackheads and acne are often brushed off as minor skin issues, something temporary or something only teenagers deal with, but the reality is much deeper and far more personal. For many people, these skin conditions become a daily emotional battle that quietly affects confidence, self-esteem, and how they show up in the world. It's not just about a few spots on the face, it's about the way someone hesitates before making eye contact, the way they avoid bright lighting, or the way they feel the need to hide behind makeup, filters, or even isolation. Skin is the first thing people see, and when it doesn't look the way we want it to, it can feel like it defines us, even though it shouldn't. What makes blackheads and acne especially frustrating is that they don't discriminate by age. Adults in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond still struggle with clogged pores, breakouts, and persistent skin texture. Many people expect acne to magically disappear after their teenage years, so when it doesn't, it creates confusion and shame. Adults often feel embarrassed talking about it, thinking they should have grown out of it by now. This silence can make the problem feel even heavier, as if you're dealing with something you're not supposed to have anymore. Confidence is deeply tied to how comfortable we feel in our own skin, literally and emotionally. When blackheads and acne are present, they can become the first thing a person notices about themselves every morning. The mirror turns into a place of judgment instead of reflection. People start checking their skin multiple times a day, touching their face, zooming in on pores, analyzing every new blemish, and replaying negative thoughts in their head. Over time, this constant focus can create anxiety and self-criticism that extends far beyond skincare. Social situations can become stressful when someone feels insecure about their skin. Simple moments like meeting new people, attending events, or being photographed can trigger discomfort. Some people avoid going out altogether on days when their skin is flaring up, canceling plans or making excuses. Others feel the pressure to look perfect online and rely heavily on filters, which can further disconnect them from their real appearance and deepen dissatisfaction. The emotional weight of acne and blackheads is rarely acknowledged, yet it's one of the most damaging parts of the experience. There's also a strong misconception that acne equals poor hygiene, which couldn't be further from the truth. Many people struggling with breakouts are actually washing their face too much, using too many products, and trying too hard to fix the problem. This misunderstanding can lead to judgment from others and even self-blame. People start believing that their skin issues are their fault, that they're doing something wrong, or that they're not disciplined enough, when in reality acne is influenced by hormones, genetics, stress, diet, and skin biology. Blackheads in particular can be incredibly stubborn, making people feel helpless. No matter how often they cleanse or exfoliate, those tiny dark dots seem to return again and again. This creates a cycle of frustration where people keep switching products, spending more money, and trying harsher treatments, hoping for a miracle. Each disappointment chips away at confidence and trust in their own body. It can feel like your skin is working against you instead of with you. The psychological impact of long-term skin issues is real. Studies have shown that acne can be linked to increased levels of anxiety, depression, and social withdrawal. Even mild acne can have a significant emotional effect, especially when it's persistent. People may downplay their feelings, telling themselves it's just skin, but emotions don't work that way. When something affects how you see yourself every single day, it becomes more than superficial. What's often overlooked is that confidence doesn't only come from clear skin, but clear skin struggles can block confidence from developing. When someone feels uncomfortable in their appearance, they may hold back from opportunities, relationships, or experiences. They may speak less, smile less, or feel less worthy of attention. Over time, this can shape identity and behavior in ways that have nothing to do with skin, yet started because of it. The pressure to have flawless skin has only intensified with social media. Constant exposure to edited images, perfect lighting, and filtered faces creates unrealistic expectations. People begin to compare their real skin to someone else's digital version, which is an unfair and damaging comparison. This makes blackheads and acne feel like personal failures instead of normal human conditions. The more people compare, the more confidence erodes. Understanding that blackheads and acne affect mental and emotional health is the first step toward changing how we approach them. When we stop treating these issues as shallow problems and start recognizing their deeper impact, It becomes easier to approach skincare with patience and self-compassion. Instead of panic and self-criticism, there's room for understanding and care. Instead of shame, there's awareness. When people realize they're not alone in this struggle, something shifts. Knowing that millions of others, across all ages, deal with the same issues can ease the burden. It helps separate self-worth from skin condition and opens the door to healthier habits and mindsets. Acne and blackheads may show up on the surface, but the real work begins internally, in how we talk to ourselves, how we treat our bodies, and how we choose to see our reflection, even on difficult skin days. Most skincare routines fail not because people are lazy or careless, but because they are built on a misunderstanding of how skin actually works. The majority of people focus only on what they can see on the surface: redness, bumps, oil, blackheads, and they try to erase those signs as quickly as possible. This leads to routines that are aggressive, overloaded with products, and driven by the desire for instant results. The skin, however, does not respond well to force. When surface symptoms are treated without addressing what is happening inside the pores, the problem doesn't resolve. It simply pauses and then returns, often worse than before. Blackheads and acne do not start on the surface of the skin. They begin inside the pore, where oil, dead skin cells, and bacteria interact over time. When oil production is high and dead skin does not shed properly, pores become clogged. That clog then reacts with air, inflammation, or bacteria, creating blackheads, whiteheads, or inflamed acne. Washing the surface repeatedly or scrubbing harder does nothing to correct this internal buildup. In fact, it often pushes debris deeper into the pore and irritates the surrounding skin, making inflammation more likely. Many people assume that if their skin is breaking out, it must be dirty. This belief drives excessive cleansing, sometimes multiple times a day, using strong foaming cleansers or antibacterial soaps. While the skin may feel squeaky clean afterward, what's actually happening is damage to the skin's protective barrier. This barrier is essential for keeping moisture in and irritants out. Once it's stripped, the skin becomes vulnerable, reactive, and confused. To protect itself, it produces even more oil, which feeds the very problem people are trying to eliminate. Another common mistake is relying on harsh spot treatments that promise to dry out pimples overnight. These products often contain high concentrations of alcohol, benzoyl peroxide, or sulfur. While they may shrink a blemish temporarily, they also dry and irritate the surrounding skin. This creates uneven healing and often leaves behind redness, dark marks, or flaking. The pimple may disappear, but the pore remains unhealthy, meaning the cycle continues beneath the surface. Exfoliation is another area where surface-focused routines go wrong. Many people believe that scrubbing away dead skin with rough exfoliants will keep pores clear. Instead, physical scrubs can cause micro-tears in the skin, triggering inflammation and disrupting the skin's natural shedding process. When skin is irritated, it holds onto dead cells as a defense mechanism, which leads to more clogged pores, not fewer. The surface may feel smooth for a moment, but inside the pore, congestion is quietly building. Product overload also plays a major role in skincare failure. When breakouts persist, people often add more products instead of simplifying. Cleansers, toners, serums, masks, spot treatments, and oils pile up in an attempt to fix everything at once. This overwhelms the skin and makes it difficult to identify what's actually helping or harming. Pores can become congested by incompatible ingredients, and inflammation increases as the skin struggles to adapt. More products do not equal better results when the root cause is ignored. The root of most acne and blackhead issues lies in oil balance, cell turnover, inflammation, and barrier health. These processes happen beneath the surface and require patience and consistency to correct. When routines are built around quick fixes, they fail to support these deeper functions. Skin needs time to normalize oil production, regulate shedding, and repair its barrier. Rushing the process only delays progress. Hormones are another internal factor that surface-level routines rarely address. Hormonal fluctuations increase oil production and affect how pores behave. No amount of scrubbing can override hormonal signals. This is why breakouts often appear around the jawline, chin, or cheeks during certain times of the month or during periods of stress. Ignoring this internal influence leads to frustration, as people blame products instead of understanding their body's natural rhythms. Lifestyle factors also play a hidden role. Poor sleep, chronic stress, dehydration, and inflammatory diets all influence skin from the inside out. A routine that focuses only on what is applied topically cannot fully succeed if these internal triggers remain unaddressed. Skin reflects the state of the body, and treating it like an isolated surface ignores its connection to overall health. Another reason surface-focused routines fail is unrealistic expectations. Many people expect visible improvement in days rather than weeks. Skin cells take time to regenerate, pores take time to clear, and inflammation takes time to calm. When results don't appear instantly, people switch products too quickly, never allowing their skin to adjust or heal. This constant change disrupts progress and keeps skin in a reactive state. True improvement begins when skincare shifts from aggression to understanding. When routines are designed to support the skin's natural processes instead of forcing change, results become more sustainable. Addressing what's happening inside the pores, balancing oil instead of eliminating it, protecting the skin barrier, and reducing inflammation all lead to healthier skin over time. The surface improves as a result of deeper correction, not the other way around. Once people realize that acne and blackheads are not surface problems, their entire approach changes. Skincare becomes less about control and more about cooperation. The skin is no longer treated as an enemy, but as a system that needs balance and care. This mindset shift alone can prevent many of the mistakes that keep people stuck in endless cycles of breakouts and disappointment, allowing the skin to finally move toward clarity and stability. Overscrubbing and aggressively drying the skin is one of the most common mistakes people make when dealing with blackheads and acne, and it usually comes from a place of frustration rather than understanding. When breakouts appear, the instinct is to scrub harder, wash more often, and use stronger products in the hope of stripping the skin of oil and impurities. At first, this approach can feel satisfying because the skin feels extremely clean, tight, and matte. Many people interpret that tight feeling as success, believing the oil has finally been removed and the problem is under control. In reality, that tightness is a warning sign that the skin's natural balance has been disrupted. Skin produces oil for a reason. Sebum acts as a protective layer that keeps the skin hydrated, shields it from environmental damage, and supports a healthy skin barrier. When this oil is repeatedly stripped away through harsh cleansers, rough exfoliants, or alcohol-heavy treatments, the skin goes into survival mode. It interprets the dryness as a threat and responds by producing even more oil to compensate. This rebound oil production often happens quickly, sometimes within hours, leading to an even greasier surface than before. The extra oil then mixes with dead skin cells inside the pores, creating the perfect environment for blackheads and acne to form. Overscrubbing also causes physical damage to the skin. Rough exfoliation tools, gritty scrubs, and excessive pressure can create microscopic tears in the skin surface. These tiny injuries may not be visible, but they trigger inflammation beneath the skin. Inflammation causes swelling around pores, making them tighter and trapping debris inside. Instead of clearing pores, aggressive scrubbing actually seals congestion in, increasing the likelihood of painful breakouts and long-lasting marks. Drying treatments add another layer of damage. Products designed to dry out pimples often contain strong active ingredients that remove moisture along with oil. While a blemish may shrink temporarily, the surrounding skin becomes irritated and weakened. This irritation disrupts the skin barrier, which is responsible for keeping bacteria out and moisture in. Once the barrier is compromised, bacteria can penetrate more easily, increasing the risk of infection and deeper acne lesions. At the same time, moisture escapes from the skin, worsening dehydration and triggering even more oil production. The cycle becomes exhausting and confusing. People scrub to remove oil, the skin produces more oil, more breakouts appear, and then stronger products are used. Each step feels logical on its own, but together they create a loop that keeps acne and blackheads coming back. Many people spend years stuck in this cycle without realizing that their efforts to control oil are actually fueling the problem. Another overlooked effect of over-cleansing is the disruption of the skin's microbiome. Healthy skin is home to beneficial bacteria that help regulate inflammation and protect against harmful microbes. Harsh cleansing strips away these good bacteria, leaving the skin vulnerable and imbalanced. When harmful bacteria take over, acne becomes more persistent and harder to manage. The skin loses its ability to self-regulate, making even mild products feel irritating and uncomfortable. Excessive washing also sends mixed signals to the skin. When the skin is constantly cleaned and dried, it never has the chance to settle into a stable rhythm. Oil glands remain in a state of overactivity, unsure of how much oil is actually needed. This instability can cause pores to appear larger, texture to become uneven, and blackheads to multiply, especially in oil-prone areas like the nose and chin. Psychologically, aggressive skincare can increase frustration and impatience. When people don't see immediate results, they often blame themselves or assume their skin is stubborn or broken. This leads to even harsher treatments and more frequent washing. Over time, the skin becomes reactive, sensitive, and unpredictable, responding negatively to products that once seemed helpful. What started as an attempt to improve the skin ends up creating a long-term imbalance that takes months to repair. Gentle skincare is often misunderstood as being ineffective, but in reality, it is far more powerful. When the skin is cleansed without being stripped, oil production gradually normalizes. Pores are able to function properly, shedding dead skin cells instead of trapping them. Inflammation decreases, allowing existing breakouts to heal more evenly. Hydration levels improve, which sends a signal to oil glands that they no longer need to overcompensate. Learning to let go of the urge to scrub and dry out the skin requires patience and trust in the process. The skin does not heal through force, but through balance. When people give their skin what it actually needs instead of punishing it for breaking out, changes begin to happen at a deeper level. Oil becomes more controlled, blackheads loosen naturally, and acne becomes less frequent and less severe, allowing the skin to gradually return to a healthier and more stable state. The idea of resetting and supporting the skin instead of fighting it represents a complete shift in how most people approach skincare, especially when dealing with acne and blackheads. For years, the dominant message has been that breakouts are an enemy that must be attacked, controlled, and eliminated as quickly as possible. This mindset turns skincare into a daily battle, filled with harsh products, frustration, and unrealistic expectations. When skin is treated like a problem to be beaten into submission, it reacts defensively, becoming more inflamed, more oily, and more unpredictable. True improvement begins when that battle ends and the focus moves toward restoring balance. Skin is a living, responsive organ that constantly adapts to its environment. It reacts to stress, diet, hormones, weather, products, and even emotional states. When acne appears, it is not a sign that the skin has failed, but a signal that something within the system is out of balance. Fighting the skin ignores that message and attempts to silence it without understanding it. Supporting the skin, on the other hand, means listening to those signals and responding in a way that helps the skin return to equilibrium. Resetting the skin does not mean stopping all skincare or ignoring breakouts. It means simplifying routines, reducing irritation, and allowing the skin barrier to repair itself. Many people are surprised to learn that their skin has been in a constant state of stress for years due to overuse of products, frequent exfoliation, and aggressive treatments. This chronic stress prevents the skin from healing properly. A reset gives the skin space to breathe, recover, and reestablish its natural protective functions. Supporting the skin involves providing it with what it needs to function optimally rather than stripping away what we think it doesn't need. Hydration, gentle cleansing, and barrier protection are foundational elements of skin health. When these needs are met, the skin becomes more resilient and better able to regulate oil production and cell turnover. Instead of forcing oil glands to shut down, support allows them to calm naturally. Instead of scraping away dead skin, support encourages healthy shedding. One of the most powerful aspects of this approach is patience. Fighting skin often comes with urgency and panic, a desire for overnight results and immediate control. Supporting skin requires a slower, more intentional mindset. Skin cells take weeks to renew, inflammation takes time to subside, and pores take time to clear. When people accept this timeline, They stop making impulsive changes that disrupt progress. Consistency replaces desperation, and small improvements begin to accumulate. Another important part of supporting the skin is respecting its limits. Every skin type has a threshold for active ingredients and treatments. Pushing beyond that threshold leads to irritation and setbacks. Supporting the skin means using fewer actives at lower strengths and giving the skin time to adjust. It means recognizing that more is not better and that restraint is often the missing ingredient in successful skincare. This mindset also changes how people emotionally relate to their skin. When skin is viewed as an enemy, every breakout feels like a failure. When skin is viewed as a system that needs care, breakouts become information rather than punishment. This reduces stress and self-criticism, which themselves contribute to inflammation and acne. The emotional relief that comes from no longer fighting the skin can be just as healing as any product. Supporting the skin also extends beyond topical care. Sleep, nutrition, hydration, and stress management all influence how the skin behaves. When these areas are neglected, no amount of aggressive skincare will produce lasting results. A supportive approach acknowledges that skin health is connected to overall health. Small lifestyle changes can have a profound effect on breakouts when combined with gentle, consistent skincare. Over time, people who stop fighting their skin often notice unexpected benefits. Sensitivity decreases, redness fades, and the skin becomes more predictable. Blackheads loosen more easily, acne heals faster, and scars are less likely to form. These changes are not dramatic overnight transformations, but steady improvements that last. The skin becomes easier to care for because it is no longer constantly reacting. Perhaps the most important outcome of this approach is trust. When people support their skin instead of punishing it, they rebuild trust in their body's ability to heal. This trust reduces the urge to constantly intervene and allows the skin to do what it is designed to do. The relationship with skincare becomes calmer, more intuitive, and less emotionally charged. Resetting and supporting the skin is not about giving up control, but about choosing a smarter form of control that works with biology instead of against it. It's about creating conditions where the skin can function properly rather than forcing it into temporary submission. When that shift happens, acne and blackheads are no longer the center of attention, and skin health becomes a natural outcome of care, balance, and understanding. Salicylic acid is often talked about in skincare, but very few people truly understand why it works so well for blackheads and acne, and even fewer know how to use it in a way that actually benefits the skin long-term. What makes salicylic acid different from many other ingredients is its unique ability to dissolve oil. Because it is oil-soluble, it can travel through the oily substance inside pores instead of sitting on the surface of the skin. This single characteristic is what makes it so powerful for treating blackheads at their source rather than just improving how the skin looks on the outside. Blackheads form when oil and dead skin cells get trapped inside the pore and oxidize when exposed to air. Water-based ingredients struggle to penetrate this oily environment, which is why many cleansers and toners fail to make a real difference. Salicylic acid, however, moves through oil effortlessly. It slips past the surface, enters the pore lining, and begins breaking down the mixture of sebum and dead skin that causes congestion. Instead of forcing debris out through pressure or scrubbing, it dissolves the buildup gradually, allowing pores to clear in a much gentler and more controlled way. This deep pore action is especially important because clogged pores are not always visible at first. Many people only react once acne becomes inflamed or painful, but congestion often develops weeks before that point. Salicylic acid works quietly beneath the surface, preventing blockages from fully forming. This preventative action is what makes it such an effective long-term solution, rather than a temporary fix. When pores are consistently kept clear from the inside, blackheads appear less frequently, and acne has fewer opportunities to develop. Another reason salicylic acid is so effective is its ability to reduce inflammation. Acne is not just a clog problem. It is an inflammatory response. When pores are blocked, bacteria can multiply, triggering redness, swelling, and discomfort. Salicylic acid calms this inflammation by soothing the pore lining and reducing irritation. This helps existing breakouts heal faster and lowers the chances of new ones becoming inflamed. Unlike harsh drying agents, It does this without completely stripping the skin of moisture when used correctly. Salicylic acid also supports healthy skin cell turnover. Dead skin cells are meant to shed naturally, but when this process slows down, those cells accumulate and clog pores. By gently encouraging exfoliation inside the pore, salicylic acid helps normalize this shedding process. This internal exfoliation is far more effective than rough surface scrubs, which often miss the root of the problem. Over time, skin texture becomes smoother, pores appear less congested, and the surface of the skin reflects what's happening beneath it. One of the biggest mistakes people make with salicylic acid is overusing it. Because it is effective, many assume that more frequent or stronger application will lead to faster results. In reality, excessive use can irritate the skin barrier and cause dryness, peeling, or sensitivity. When the barrier is damaged, oil production increases as a defense mechanism, which can counteract the benefits of the ingredient. The power of salicylic acid lies in consistency and moderation, not intensity. Used in the right concentration and frequency, salicylic acid works in harmony with the skin. It doesn't shock the system or force sudden change. Instead, it gradually trains the pores to function more normally. Oil flows more freely instead of becoming trapped, dead skin sheds more evenly, and inflammation stays under control. This balanced approach leads to results that last rather than cycles of improvement and relapse. Another overlooked benefit of salicylic acid is how it prepares the skin for other products. When pores are clear, moisturizers and treatments can absorb more effectively. Hydration penetrates better, which further supports oil balance and barrier health. This creates a positive feedback loop where the skin becomes easier to manage over time. Breakouts become less severe, blackheads loosen more easily, and overall skin behavior becomes more predictable. Salicylic acid is particularly helpful for oily and combination skin types, but even sensitive skin can benefit when it is introduced slowly and paired with proper hydration. The key is respecting the skin's limits and allowing it time to adapt. Skin that has been congested for a long time will not clear overnight, but with patience, the internal environment of the pores begins to change. When people understand that salicylic acid works by going where the problem actually lives, their expectations shift. It is no longer seen as a quick spot treatment, but as a long-term pore care ingredient. This change in perspective encourages consistent use rather than reactionary use. Instead of applying it only when breakouts appear, people begin to use it as part of a preventative routine, which is where its true strength lies. The effectiveness of salicylic acid is not about harshness or instant transformation. It is about precision. By targeting oil buildup deep inside the pores and calming inflammation at its source, it addresses blackheads and acne in a way that aligns with how skin naturally functions. When used thoughtfully, it becomes one of the most reliable tools for maintaining clear pores and balanced skin, working quietly in the background to support long-term skin health and stability. Gentle and consistent use of the right ingredients is far more effective than harsh treatments, yet this idea often feels counterintuitive to people who are desperate to see fast results. When acne and blackheads persist, the natural reaction is to escalate efforts, stronger products, higher concentrations, more frequent application. This approach feels proactive and decisive, but it rarely leads to lasting improvement. Skin does not respond well to shock tactics. Instead of healing, it becomes stressed, inflamed, and reactive, which prolongs the problem and makes it harder to manage over time. Harsh treatments work by overwhelming the skin. They force visible changes quickly, drying out pimples, peeling the surface, or creating an immediate matte appearance. These changes can be misleading. While a breakout may shrink overnight, the internal conditions that caused it remain unchanged. Oil production, pore congestion, and inflammation continue beneath the surface. Once the harsh treatment is stopped or the skin becomes irritated, the acne often returns, sometimes more aggressively than before. Gentle ingredients work differently. They support the skin's natural processes instead of overriding them. When used consistently, they help regulate oil production, normalize cell turnover, and calm inflammation without damaging the skin barrier. This creates an environment where pores can function properly. Blackheads loosen gradually, breakouts heal more evenly, and new acne forms less frequently. The changes may be slower, but they are more stable and far less likely to rebound. Consistency is the key factor that makes gentle care effective. Skin operates on biological timelines, not emotional urgency. Cells renew themselves over weeks, not days. Oil glands adjust gradually in response to signals from the skin barrier. Inflammation subsides slowly as balance is restored. When gentle ingredients are used regularly over time, these processes align and reinforce each other. When routines are constantly changed or intensified, the skin never has a chance to settle into a healthy rhythm. One of the biggest advantages of gentle skincare is barrier preservation. The skin barrier is responsible for retaining moisture and protecting against bacteria and irritants. Harsh treatments weaken this barrier, making skin more vulnerable and reactive. Gentle ingredients maintain barrier integrity, allowing the skin to defend itself naturally. A strong barrier reduces water loss, calms sensitivity, and sends signals to oil glands that excessive oil production is no longer necessary. Another important aspect is inflammation control. Acne is not just a clog problem, it is an inflammatory condition. Harsh treatments often increase inflammation, even if they reduce oil temporarily. This leads to redness, swelling, and slower healing. Gentle ingredients reduce inflammation steadily, allowing breakouts to resolve without leaving behind marks or prolonged redness. Over time, the skin becomes calmer and less prone to sudden flare-ups. Gentle care also reduces the risk of sensitivity. Many people who rely on harsh treatments eventually develop skin that reacts to almost everything. Burning, stinging, peeling, and chronic redness become common. This sensitivity limits product options and makes skincare feel like a constant struggle. Gentle routines prevent this cycle by respecting the skin's tolerance levels and avoiding unnecessary irritation. There is also a psychological benefit to gentle consistency. When people stop chasing instant results, they experience less frustration and anxiety around their skin. They become less reactive to every new blemish and more focused on long-term progress. This calmer mindset often leads to better decisions and more disciplined routines. Stress itself can worsen acne, so reducing emotional reactivity becomes part of the healing process. Gentle ingredients are also easier to integrate into daily life. They can be used consistently without fear of damage or downtime. This makes it easier to maintain a routine even during busy or stressful periods. Harsh treatments often require breaks, recovery time, or strict schedules that are difficult to sustain. Consistency becomes impossible when routines are too aggressive. Another overlooked benefit is adaptability. Gentle skincare allows the skin to adjust gradually to changes in environment, hormones, and lifestyle. Seasonal shifts, stress, and dietary changes all affect skin behavior. When the skin is supported rather than attacked, it can adapt more smoothly. Breakouts may still occur, but they are often less severe and easier to manage. Over time, gentle and consistent care leads to more predictable skin behavior. Oil production becomes more balanced, pores remain clearer, and texture improves steadily. The skin becomes more resilient and less reactive. This predictability builds trust. People learn how their skin responds and feel more confident in managing it. Skincare becomes less about control and more about maintenance. The effectiveness of gentle skincare lies in alignment with biology. Skin is designed to heal itself when given the right conditions. Harsh treatments disrupt those conditions, while gentle ingredients support them. When consistency replaces intensity, progress becomes sustainable. Acne and blackheads no longer dominate daily attention because the skin is no longer in a constant state of stress. Instead, improvement happens quietly and steadily, driven by patience, understanding, and respect for how the skin truly works. Proper skin hydration is one of the most misunderstood aspects of acne and blackhead care, especially for people with oily or acne-prone skin. Many believe that adding moisture will clog pores or make their skin greasier, so they avoid moisturizers altogether or use them inconsistently. This belief often comes from past experiences with heavy products that felt suffocating or caused breakouts. As a result, people focus on drying treatments and oil control while completely neglecting hydration, not realizing that this imbalance is actually fueling the very problem they are trying to solve. When skin lacks hydration, it sends distress signals to oil glands. These glands respond by producing more sebum in an attempt to protect the skin from further moisture loss. This overproduction of oil increases the likelihood of clogged pores, blackheads, and acne. The surface may appear oily, but underneath, the skin is dehydrated and compromised. This combination of dehydration and excess oil creates an unstable environment where breakouts thrive. Hydration and oil are often confused as the same thing, but they are not. Oil lubricates the skin, while hydration refers to water content within skin cells. Skin can be oily and dehydrated at the same time. In fact, this is one of the most common states of acne-prone skin. When people try to eliminate oil without restoring water, the skin becomes even more imbalanced. Proper hydration helps normalize oil production by reassuring the skin that it is safe and protected. A well-hydrated skin barrier functions more effectively. The barrier acts as a shield that locks in moisture and keeps out irritants and bacteria. When hydration levels are adequate, this barrier remains strong and intact. A strong barrier reduces inflammation, minimizes sensitivity, and prevents bacteria from entering pores. This directly lowers the risk of acne formation and allows existing breakouts to heal more smoothly. Hydration also affects how pores behave. Dehydrated skin often produces thicker, stickier oil that is more likely to combine with dead skin cells and clog pores. When skin is properly hydrated, oil remains more fluid and can flow out of pores more easily. This reduces the buildup that leads to blackheads and congestion. Over time, pores appear clearer and less prominent because they are functioning normally instead of being constantly blocked. Another benefit of hydration is improved skin cell turnover. Water is essential for healthy cell function, including the process by which dead skin cells shed naturally. When skin is dehydrated, this process slows down, leading to accumulation of dead cells on the surface and inside pores. Proper hydration supports regular shedding, which keeps pores clear and texture smooth. This internal improvement eventually becomes visible on the surface. Many people associate moisturizers with heaviness, but modern formulations offer lightweight, non-comedogenic options designed specifically for acne-prone skin. These products hydrate without clogging pores or leaving a greasy residue. When chosen correctly, they complement acne treatments rather than interfering with them. Hydration actually enhances the effectiveness of active ingredients by reducing irritation and allowing the skin to tolerate treatments better. Consistent hydration also reduces the urge to overtreat the skin. When skin feels comfortable and balanced, people are less likely to layer harsh products or wash excessively. This prevents damage to the skin barrier and reduces the cycle of irritation and rebound oil production. Comfort becomes a sign of health rather than something to fear. Environmental factors further highlight the importance of hydration. Air conditioning, heating, pollution, and climate changes all contribute to moisture loss. Even oily skin can become dehydrated in these conditions. Without proper hydration, the skin struggles to adapt, leading to increased oiliness and breakouts. Hydrated skin, on the other hand, responds more calmly to environmental stressors. Hydration also influences how skin heals. Breakouts on hydrated skin tend to resolve faster and with less risk of scarring or dark marks. Dehydrated skin heals more slowly and is more prone to post-acne marks because inflammation lingers longer. By maintaining hydration, the skin is better equipped to repair itself after breakouts. There is also a cumulative effect to hydration. Each day of consistent moisturizing builds resilience in the skin. Over time, oil production becomes more regulated, sensitivity decreases, and acne becomes less frequent. These changes are gradual but reliable. Hydration works quietly in the background, supporting every other aspect of skincare. Understanding hydration as a fundamental need rather than a cosmetic extra transforms how people approach acne care. It shifts the focus from stripping and controlling to supporting and balancing. When the skin is properly hydrated, it no longer feels the need to defend itself through excess oil production. Blackheads form less easily, inflammation stays under control, and the skin begins to behave in a more predictable and stable way, making clear skin a sustainable outcome rather than a constant struggle. Touching the face is one of the most automatic and unconscious habits people have. yet it plays a surprisingly powerful role in the development and persistence of acne and blackheads. Most people touch their face dozens of times a day without realizing it. Resting the chin on the hand, rubbing the nose, scratching the forehead, adjusting glasses, or picking at the skin all seem harmless in the moment. However, every time the hands come into contact with the face, they transfer bacteria, oil, dirt, and microscopic debris directly onto the skin and into the pores. Hands come into contact with countless surfaces throughout the day: phones, keyboards, door handles, money, steering wheels, and gym equipment. These surfaces are covered with bacteria that are invisible to the eye. Even when hands look clean, they often carry microorganisms that the skin does not want. When those bacteria are pressed into pores through touching or rubbing, they can trigger inflammation and infection, leading to new breakouts or worsening existing ones. The face is particularly vulnerable because pores are open pathways into the skin. When pressure is applied, such as leaning the face into the hands or squeezing blackheads, bacteria and oil are pushed deeper into the pore. This creates an environment where acne-causing bacteria can thrive. What might have been a small, non-inflamed clog can quickly turn into a painful pimple simply because it was disturbed by touch. Touching the face also disrupts the skin barrier. Repeated rubbing or picking can damage the surface of the skin, creating tiny breaks that allow bacteria to enter more easily. This barrier damage increases sensitivity and inflammation, making the skin more reactive overall. Once the barrier is compromised, even gentle products can sting or cause redness, complicating acne treatment and slowing healing. One of the most damaging forms of face touching is picking at acne and blackheads. The urge to squeeze or scratch is strong, especially when a blemish feels noticeable or uncomfortable. Unfortunately, picking rarely removes the clog completely. Instead, it pushes bacteria deeper into the skin and spreads it to surrounding pores. This often results in larger breakouts, prolonged healing, and an increased risk of scarring or dark marks that can last for months. Touching the face also transfers oil from the hands to the skin. Even dry hands produce natural oils, and when these oils mix with facial sebum, they can contribute to pore congestion. This is especially problematic for people with oily or combination skin, where even small increases in oil can tip the balance toward blackheads and acne. Another overlooked issue is how touching the face affects skincare effectiveness. Applying products with unwashed hands introduces bacteria into freshly cleansed skin. Touching the face after skincare application can undo the benefits of cleansing and treatment. This creates a cycle where products seem ineffective, not because they don't work, but because their results are constantly being compromised by repeated contact. Phones deserve special attention when it comes to acne. Mobile phones collect bacteria from every surface they touch and are often pressed directly against the cheek during calls. This repeated contact can lead to breakouts along the jawline and cheeks, commonly referred to as acne mechanica. Cleaning the phone regularly and avoiding prolonged contact can significantly reduce this type of breakout. Face touching is also closely linked to stress and anxiety. Many people touch their face more frequently when they are nervous, bored, or focused. This creates a feedback loop where stress increases breakouts, and breakouts increase stress. Becoming aware of this habit is the first step toward breaking the cycle. Awareness alone can dramatically reduce how often hands reach the face. Reducing face touching does not require perfection. Even a moderate decrease can lead to noticeable improvements over time. When bacteria transfer is reduced, inflammation decreases, healing improves, and new breakouts form less frequently. The skin is given a chance to recover without constant interference. This habit is particularly important for people using active skincare ingredients. Treatments that exfoliate or increase cell turnover can make skin more vulnerable to irritation and infection. Touching the face during this time increases the risk of breakouts and sensitivity. Keeping hands away allows the skin to benefit fully from these treatments without unnecessary setbacks. Breaking the habit of touching the face may feel difficult at first because it is so deeply ingrained. However, simple changes like keeping hands occupied, being mindful during screen time, and resisting the urge to pick can make a meaningful difference. Over time, the urge decreases as the skin improves, creating a positive cycle of clearer skin and better habits. Understanding the impact of face touching shifts it from a minor concern to a critical part of acne and blackhead prevention. Skincare is not only about what products are used, but also about daily behaviors that influence the skin's environment. By minimizing unnecessary contact, the skin is protected from bacteria, inflammation is reduced, and pores remain calmer and clearer, allowing other skincare efforts to work more effectively and consistently. Diet plays a much bigger role in acne and blackhead formation than many people want to admit, largely because the effects are not always immediate or obvious. Skin responds to what happens inside the body, and food is one of the strongest signals it receives every day. High sugar intake and highly processed foods trigger inflammatory responses that can show up on the skin in the form of breakouts, congestion, and persistent acne. This connection is often overlooked because skincare is usually approached from the outside in, while diet works from the inside out. When sugar is consumed in large amounts, it causes rapid spikes in blood glucose levels. The body responds by releasing insulin to bring those levels down. High insulin levels trigger a cascade of hormonal responses that increase oil production in the skin. Oil glands become more active, producing excess sebum that can easily clog pores. This excess oil creates an ideal environment for blackheads and acne to develop, especially when combined with slow cell turnover or dehydration. Processed foods contribute to this problem in multiple ways. They are often high in refined carbohydrates, unhealthy fats, and additives that promote inflammation. Inflammation is at the core of acne. When the body is in a constant state of low-grade inflammation due to diet, the skin reflects that internal stress. Breakouts become more frequent, healing takes longer, and redness becomes more persistent. Even skincare routines that are otherwise effective may struggle to overcome the internal inflammatory signals caused by poor diet. Another factor is how sugar affects collagen and skin structure. Excess sugar leads to a process called glycation, where sugar molecules bind to proteins like collagen and elastin. This damages the skin's structural support, making it less resilient and slower to repair. When the skin's repair process is compromised, acne lesions heal more slowly and are more likely to leave behind marks or scars. Highly processed foods also lack essential nutrients that the skin needs to function properly. Vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and healthy fats are crucial for maintaining a strong skin barrier, regulating oil production, and controlling inflammation. When the diet is dominated by processed foods, the skin is deprived of these nutrients. This deficiency weakens the skin's defenses and makes it more susceptible to breakouts. Gut health is another important link between diet and acne. Processed foods and high sugar intake can disrupt the balance of bacteria in the gut. An imbalanced gut microbiome increases systemic inflammation and affects hormone regulation. This imbalance can manifest on the skin as acne, rosacea, or other inflammatory conditions. Improving gut health through whole foods and fiber can have visible effects on skin clarity over time. Dairy and high glycemic foods are also known to influence acne in some individuals. These foods can increase insulin-like growth factor, which stimulates oil glands and promotes inflammation. While not everyone reacts the same way, many people notice an improvement in their skin when they reduce these foods. The key is awareness rather than strict elimination, understanding how certain foods affect individual skin responses. It's important to clarify that diet alone is not the sole cause of acne. Genetics, hormones, stress, and skincare habits all play roles. However, diet can either amplify or reduce the impact of these factors. A diet high in sugar and processed foods amplifies inflammation and oil production, making acne harder to control. A balanced diet supports the skin's ability to heal and regulate itself. The effects of dietary changes are not instant, which is why many people dismiss the connection. Skin cells take weeks to reflect internal changes. When sugar intake is reduced and whole foods are increased, improvements often appear gradually. Breakouts may become less frequent, inflammation decreases, and overall skin tone becomes more even. Patience is essential when evaluating dietary impact. Healthy fats play a particularly important role in skin health. Omega fatty acids help regulate inflammation and support the skin barrier. When these fats are lacking, the skin becomes more prone to irritation and breakouts. Replacing processed fats with healthier options can significantly improve skin resilience and clarity. Hydration also interacts with diet. High sugar intake increases dehydration, which can worsen oil imbalance and pore congestion. When hydration is prioritized alongside better food choices, the skin benefits on multiple levels. Oil production normalizes, pores remain clearer, and inflammation stays under control. Understanding the relationship between diet and acne shifts the focus from restriction to nourishment. It's not about perfection or eliminating every indulgence, but about recognizing patterns and making choices that support overall health. When the body receives consistent nourishment instead of constant inflammatory triggers, the skin reflects that balance. Reducing sugar and processed foods is not a quick fix, but it creates a foundation for clearer skin. Over time, the body becomes less inflamed, hormones stabilize, and oil production becomes more regulated. Acne becomes easier to manage, blackheads form less frequently, and the skin begins to respond more positively to skincare efforts, making clear skin a result of internal balance rather than constant external intervention. Gentle chemical exfoliation is often misunderstood, especially when compared to physical scrubs that promise instant smoothness and visible results. Many people associate exfoliation with rough particles, brushes, or scrubbing tools, believing that physically removing dead skin is the most effective way to keep pores clear. While this may create a temporary feeling of smoothness, it can cause long-term damage to the skin, particularly for those struggling with acne and blackheads. Chemical exfoliation works differently and far more intelligently by addressing how dead skin cells behave rather than forcibly removing them. Dead skin cells are meant to shed naturally in an organized process. When this process slows down, cells accumulate on the surface and inside pores, leading to congestion and breakouts. Physical scrubs attempt to remove these cells through friction, but they cannot reach inside the pores where blackheads form. Instead, they often irritate the surface, causing microtears that trigger inflammation. This inflammation makes pores swell and trap debris, worsening acne rather than improving it. Chemical exfoliants work by dissolving the bonds that hold dead skin cells together. This allows them to shed naturally without the need for pressure or abrasion. Ingredients like gentle acids target the internal buildup within pores as well as surface congestion. This dual action makes chemical exfoliation far more effective for preventing blackheads and reducing acne over time. Rather than scratching the surface, it corrects the underlying issue. Another major advantage of chemical exfoliation is consistency. Physical scrubs depend heavily on technique. Too much pressure or frequent use increases the risk of irritation and damage. Chemical exfoliants, when used at appropriate concentrations, deliver even results across the skin. This predictability allows for safer long-term use and better control over how the skin responds. Inflammation is a key factor in acne, and physical exfoliation often increases it. Rough particles can inflame the skin, disrupt the barrier, and spread bacteria across the face. This inflammation delays healing and increases the likelihood of redness and post-acne marks. Gentle chemical exfoliation reduces inflammation by working without friction. Skin becomes calmer, and breakouts heal more evenly. Chemical exfoliation also supports better penetration of other skincare products. When dead skin cells are removed gently, moisturizers and treatments absorb more effectively. This improves hydration, strengthens the skin barrier, and enhances the effectiveness of acne treatments. Physical scrubs, by contrast, can leave the skin irritated and less receptive to other products. Another overlooked issue with physical exfoliation is uneven results. Scrubs often overexfoliate some areas while missing others, especially around the nose, chin, and jawline. Chemical exfoliants distribute evenly and work wherever they are applied, reducing the risk of patchy irritation or mist congestion. This even action is particularly beneficial for people with widespread blackheads or textured skin. Sensitive and acne-prone skin benefits most from gentle chemical exfoliation. Physical scrubs can be too aggressive, triggering flare-ups and sensitivity. Chemical exfoliants can be introduced slowly and adjusted based on skin response. This flexibility allows the skin to adapt without being overwhelmed. Long-term skin health also improves with chemical exfoliation. By supporting natural cell turnover, it helps maintain smoother texture, clearer pores, and more even tone. Over time, pores appear smaller, and blackheads become less noticeable. These changes occur gradually but consistently, leading to lasting improvement rather than temporary smoothness. Many people fear chemical exfoliation because of the word acid, assuming it is harsh or damaging. In reality, these ingredients are often gentler than physical scrubs when used correctly. They are designed to work with the skin's natural processes rather than against them. The key is choosing appropriate formulations and using them consistently rather than excessively. Overexfoliation is still possible with chemical exfoliants, but it is easier to avoid when people understand their purpose. The goal is not to peel the skin or create visible flaking. The goal is to maintain steady cell turnover and prevent buildup. When this balance is achieved, acne and blackheads become easier to control. Replacing physical scrubs with gentle chemical exfoliation represents a shift from force to function. Instead of scraping away imperfections, the skin is supported in doing what it is designed to do. This approach reduces irritation, improves clarity, and strengthens the skin over time. When exfoliation works with biology rather than against it, skin becomes calmer, clearer, and more resilient, making gentle chemical exfoliation one of the most effective strategies for long-term acne and blackhead management. Stress is one of the most underestimated triggers of acne and blackheads, yet it has a profound effect on how the skin behaves. When the body experiences stress, whether emotional, mental, or physical, it releases a surge of stress hormones, particularly cortisol. These hormones are designed to help the body respond to challenges, but when stress becomes chronic, they begin to disrupt normal biological functions. The skin, being highly responsive to hormonal signals, often shows the effects quickly and visibly. Cortisol directly influences oil production in the skin. When levels remain elevated, oil glands become more active, producing excess sebum. This increase in oil creates an environment where pores are more likely to become clogged with dead skin cells and bacteria. Blackheads form more easily, and existing acne becomes more inflamed. This explains why breakouts often appear during periods of high pressure, such as exams, deadlines, emotional stress, or lack of sleep. Stress also affects the skin's immune response. Under normal conditions, the immune system helps regulate bacteria on the skin and controls inflammation. Chronic stress weakens this response, making it harder for the skin to fight acne-causing bacteria. As a result, breakouts last longer, become more painful, and heal more slowly. The skin remains in a heightened inflammatory state, which increases redness and sensitivity. Another way stress impacts the skin is through the disruption of the skin barrier. Stress hormones impair the barrier's ability to retain moisture, leading to dehydration. Dehydrated skin overproduces oil as a defense mechanism, further contributing to clogged pores. This cycle of stress, dehydration, and oil overproduction creates a perfect storm for acne and blackheads to thrive. Stress also influences behaviors that indirectly worsen skin health. During stressful periods, people often touch their face more frequently, pick at blemishes, neglect skincare routines, or rely on comfort foods high in sugar and processed ingredients. Sleep quality often declines, and hydration is neglected. Each of these behaviors adds another layer of strain to the skin, compounding the effects of stress hormones. Sleep is especially important in this context. Stress disrupts sleep patterns, and poor sleep increases cortisol levels even further. During deep sleep, the body repairs tissues and regulates inflammation. When sleep is inadequate, these repair processes are compromised. Skin becomes more prone to breakouts and slower to heal. This creates a feedback loop where stress causes poor sleep worsens skin, and worsening skin increases stress. The emotional impact of stress-related acne should not be underestimated. When breakouts appear during already challenging times, they can amplify feelings of frustration and self-consciousness. This emotional stress feeds back into the physical stress response, keeping cortisol levels high. The skin becomes a visible reflection of internal pressure, making it harder to break the cycle. Stress also affects hormone balance beyond cortisol. It can influence androgens, which are hormones that stimulate oil glands. Elevated androgen activity increases sebum production, especially in areas prone to hormonal acne such as the jawline and chin. This is why stress-related breakouts often appear in predictable patterns. Another important factor is inflammation. Stress increases systemic inflammation throughout the body. Acne is an inflammatory condition, so when baseline inflammation is elevated, the skin reacts more intensely to clogged pores and bacteria. Breakouts become more red, swollen, and painful. Reducing stress helps lower this inflammatory baseline, making the skin less reactive overall. Managing stress does not mean eliminating it entirely, which is unrealistic. It means reducing its intensity and improving how the body responds to it. Practices such as regular physical activity, mindfulness, breathing exercises, and adequate rest help regulate cortisol levels. Even small changes can have noticeable effects on skin over time. Skincare alone cannot fully counteract the effects of chronic stress. Even the best routine will struggle if the body remains in a constant fight or flight state. When stress management is prioritized alongside gentle skincare, the results are more consistent and sustainable. Breakouts become less frequent, oil production stabilizes, and healing improves. Understanding the role of stress reframes acne from being purely a surface issue to being a reflection of internal balance. This perspective encourages a more compassionate approach to skincare and self-care. Instead of blaming the skin for reacting, people begin to recognize the signals their body is sending. When stress levels are brought under control, the skin often responds in subtle but meaningful ways. Texture improves, redness decreases, and breakouts become less severe. The skin feels calmer and more resilient. Over time, this stability reduces the emotional burden of acne, creating a positive cycle where improved skin reduces stress and reduced stress improves skin, allowing clarity to emerge as a natural outcome of balance and care. Stress is one of the most overlooked yet powerful triggers behind acne and blackheads, and its impact goes far beyond what most people expect. When stress enters the body, whether from emotional pressure, mental overload, lack of sleep, or even physical exhaustion, it activates a survival response. The body releases stress hormones, especially cortisol, designed to protect us in short bursts. The problem begins when stress is no longer temporary. When it becomes constant, those hormones stop being helpful and start disrupting balance, and the skin is one of the first places this imbalance shows. Cortisol directly stimulates the oil glands in the skin. As cortisol levels rise, oil production increases, often without you realizing it. This excess oil mixes with dead skin cells inside the pores, creating the ideal environment for blackheads to form. When bacteria are present, those clogged pores become inflamed, turning into acne. This is why breakouts often appear suddenly during stressful periods, even when skincare routines haven't changed. Stress also weakens the skin's immune defenses. Normally, the immune system helps keep acne-causing bacteria in check and controls inflammation. Under chronic stress, this defense system becomes less effective. The skin struggles to fight bacteria, and inflammation becomes harder to control. Pimples last longer, become more painful, and take more time to heal. What could have been a small blemish turns into a lingering breakout simply because the skin is under internal pressure. Another major effect of stress is its impact on the skin barrier. Stress hormones interfere with the barrier's ability to hold moisture, leading to dehydration. Dehydrated skin doesn't feel healthy or comfortable, and it responds by producing even more oil as a protective mechanism. This combination of dehydration and excess oil is one of the most common conditions behind stubborn acne and blackheads. Even oily skin can be deeply dehydrated when stress is involved. Stress rarely comes alone. It brings habits that quietly sabotage skin health. People under stress often sleep less, skip skincare steps, touch their face more frequently, and reach for sugary or processed foods for comfort. Each of these behaviors adds another trigger for breakouts. Sleep deprivation increases cortisol even further, diet fuels inflammation, and face touching introduces bacteria into already vulnerable pores. Sleep is especially critical. During deep sleep, the body repairs tissue, regulates hormones, and reduces inflammation. When sleep is disrupted, these processes don't happen efficiently. Skin becomes slower to heal, more reactive, and more prone to inflammation. Stress creates poor sleep worsens acne, and acne increases stress, locking the body into a damaging loop. The emotional weight of stress-related acne makes this cycle even harder to break. Breakouts often appear during already overwhelming moments, exams, deadlines, emotional events, or life transitions. Seeing acne during these times increases self-consciousness and frustration, which further elevates stress hormones. The skin becomes a visible reminder of internal pressure, reinforcing the stress response. Stress also affects other hormones that influence acne, including androgens. These hormones stimulate oil glands, especially in areas like the jawline, chin, and cheeks. This is why stress-related acne often appears in hormonal patterns, even in people who don't usually struggle with hormonal breakouts. Inflammation plays a central role here. Stress increases inflammation throughout the body, not just in the skin. When baseline inflammation is already high, the skin reacts more aggressively to clogged pores and bacteria. Breakouts become redder, more swollen, and more painful. Reducing stress helps lower this inflammatory baseline, making the skin less reactive overall. Managing stress doesn't mean eliminating it completely, which isn't realistic. It means improving how the body processes and recovers from stress. Simple practices like regular movement, deep breathing, mindfulness, spending time outdoors, and prioritizing rest can significantly reduce cortisol levels over time. These changes don't just benefit mental health, they visibly affect skin behavior. Skincare alone cannot fully counteract chronic stress. Even the best routine struggles when the body remains in a constant fight-or-flight state. When stress management becomes part of skincare, results become more consistent and sustainable. Oil production stabilizes, inflammation calms, and healing improves naturally. Understanding the connection between stress and acne shifts the narrative from self-blame to awareness. Acne becomes less of a personal failure and more of a signal that the body needs support. When stress is addressed alongside gentle skincare, the skin begins to respond with calmness and resilience. Over time, breakouts become less frequent and less severe, and the skin reflects the internal balance being restored, allowing clarity to emerge not through force, but through care and understanding. The idea that the best remedy for acne and blackheads is consistency, patience, and understanding your skin often sounds too simple to be true, especially in a world filled with dramatic before and after photos and promises of instant results. Many people are conditioned to believe that clear skin comes from finding the one perfect product or treatment that will erase every imperfection overnight. When that doesn't happen, frustration builds and routines become chaotic. Products are switched constantly, treatments become harsher, and the skin is never given enough time to respond. This cycle keeps people stuck, not because their skin is incapable of improving, but because it is never allowed to settle into balance. Skin is not a machine that responds instantly to commands. It is a living system that operates on biological timelines. Oil glands, skin cells, and the skin barrier all adjust gradually. When a new routine or ingredient is introduced, the skin needs time to adapt. Breakouts may temporarily appear, oil levels may fluctuate, and texture may change before improvement becomes visible. Without patience, these normal adjustment phases are mistaken for failure, and routines are abandoned too soon. This constant interruption prevents real progress from ever taking hold. Consistency is what allows the skin to recalibrate. When the same gentle routine is followed daily, the skin begins to recognize patterns. Oil production stabilizes, cell turnover becomes more regular, and inflammation decreases. These changes are subtle at first and easy to overlook, but they compound over time. Skipping days, frequently changing products, or using treatments only when breakouts appear disrupts this process. Skin thrives on predictability, and consistency provides that foundation. Patience is equally important because skin reflects past behavior, not just current actions. A breakout today may be the result of congestion or inflammation that started weeks ago. This delay can be discouraging, as people expect immediate feedback from their efforts. Understanding this delay helps reframe expectations. Instead of reacting emotionally to every blemish, patience allows people to stay committed to a routine long enough for results to surface. Understanding your skin is what ties consistency and patience together. Every skin type behaves differently. What works for one person may not work for another, even if they have similar concerns. Factors like genetics, hormones, climate, stress, and lifestyle all influence how skin responds. Understanding your own skin means observing patterns rather than copying trends. It means noticing how your skin reacts to certain ingredients, how it behaves during stress, and how long it takes to heal. This awareness prevents overreaction and unnecessary changes. Many people mistake progress for perfection. They expect skin to become flawless once they find the right routine. In reality, healthy skin still has texture, pores, and occasional breakouts. Progress looks like fewer breakouts, faster healing, less inflammation, and more predictability. When expectations are unrealistic, even real improvement can feel disappointing. Understanding what healthy skin actually looks like helps people appreciate progress instead of chasing an impossible standard. Consistency also builds trust between you and your skin. When you stop attacking it with harsh treatments and start supporting it steadily, the skin responds with resilience. Sensitivity decreases, reactions become less intense, and the skin becomes easier to manage. This trust reduces the urge to intervene aggressively at the first sign of a blemish. Instead of panic, there is confidence in the process. Patience also protects the skin barrier. Many skin issues are caused or worsened by barrier damage from overexfoliation, overcleansing, or excessive active ingredients. Giving the skin time to repair itself allows hydration levels to normalize and inflammation to calm. Once the barrier is strong, the skin is better equipped to handle treatments and environmental stressors. This creates a stable base that makes long-term improvement possible. Understanding your skin also means recognizing that it changes over time. Hormonal shifts, aging, seasonal changes, and lifestyle transitions all affect skin behavior. A routine that works perfectly one year may need adjustment the next. This doesn't mean starting from scratch or abandoning consistency, but gently adapting while maintaining the same supportive principles. This flexible consistency keeps the skin balanced through change. One of the hardest parts of this approach is resisting comparison. Social media and advertising create unrealistic timelines and expectations. Seeing someone else's rapid transformation can make steady progress feel slow or inadequate. Understanding your own skin journey helps counter this pressure. Every person's skin has a different history and different needs. Comparing results ignores these differences and fuels impatience. The emotional side of acne often pushes people away from consistency. Bad skin days can trigger discouragement and impulsive decisions. Understanding that fluctuations are normal helps maintain commitment. Clear skin is not a straight line. It improves in waves, with setbacks along the way. Consistency allows those setbacks to pass without derailing progress. Over time, consistency and patience simplify skincare. Instead of constantly searching for solutions, routines become intuitive and low stress. The skin becomes more predictable, making it easier to maintain rather than constantly fix. This ease is often the clearest sign that the skin is healthy. The best remedy in the world is not a single product or treatment. It is the decision to work with your skin instead of against it. Consistency gives the skin structure, patience gives it time, and understanding gives it direction. When these three elements come together, acne and blackheads lose their control over daily life, and clear skin becomes a natural result of balance, awareness, and steady care rather than a constant battle to be won.